Afternoon, mums and dads. Hope that you guys had a wonderful time last Sunday as you did your Sunday school together with your children. Just to mention to you that for this coming Sunday, I'm going to send you just a PDF of the game that we're going to do. It's a little bit of it's not complicated, it just requires a little bit of work, but I do think that it will be worth it. And the idea behind the game, it's going to link into our study for Sunday. And the idea is that you find an item that can be broken up into pieces. So it can be like a Lego thing, it could be like maybe a torch. I actually would love for you as parents to give me feedback before Sunday of what you are thinking of using as items for your children. And basically they have to receive a bag that has an object that is broken down into pieces that they now need to repair. And each child needs to receive their own bag. Once they've repaired it, they need to come back to you and get another bag from you. And in that bag will be something irreparable. So something like a burst balloon or, I don't know, a shattered glass or something. I don't know what you'd like to do, but something that's irreparable. And it's basically just to link in with our idea with Peter and his relationship with Jesus. So as we know, Peter's relationship with Jesus was it was a roller coaster relationship. And this week we're going to look at how that relationship comes full circle, and how despite Peter's failures, Jesus gives him the opportunity to start again. So the fishing story that we're going to look at, we're going to be looking at John chapter 21, verse 1 to 19. So the fishing story that we have a look at, it forms the backdrop to what Peter experiences spiritually in verses 15 to 19. In verse 1 to 14, the disciples have returned to their old line of work. So they have spent the whole night working, and it seems that they have got absolutely nothing to show for their efforts. And Jesus comes in their time of need, and he brings them hope, and he brings them a solution to their futility. All right, mums and dads, let's just have a look at a few key verses from our passage today. So verse 1 tells us that the disciples were at the Sea of Tiberias. So this tells us that they were at the Sea of Galilee. So it means that they've now moved on from Jerusalem and they've returned to Galilee. Then in verse 3, Peter and 6 other disciples have returned to their old way of life as fishermen. And so what we see is that the resurrection seems to have had very little impact on their lives. Their lives haven't changed much. Then verse 7, we see that the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." John realizes who Jesus is before Peter does. Just a note on John, he refers to himself in the third person. So if you go back and have a look at the accounts that we've read last week over the Easter weekend, you'll see John, he refers to himself in the third person. He always refers to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved, or the disciple who got there first. Then verse 15 to 19, Jesus challenges Peter 3 times. And this is significant because Jesus is providing an opportunity for Peter to pledge his love and commitment to Jesus once for every time that he denied Jesus. Peter's restoration is complete. The difference between lamb and sheep, it has no real significance. What is important is how the shepherd who was struck is now putting his sheep, God's people, into Peter's care. Peter must feed and care for them. How? Through his teaching as an apostle. So this shows Jesus' complete confidence in and his desire to use Peter. It's quite incredible as we think back on what we already know about Peter, about this relationship that he's had with Jesus, that now we reach the point where Jesus now will use Peter in his ministry. Then verse 19, it says, "Follow me." This invitation reminds us of the first time that Jesus called Peter. Go back and look at it in Mark chapter 1, verse 16 to 17. The relationship has come full circle, but now Peter responds with a better understanding of who Jesus is, what he came to do, and what it means to love, trust, and follow him. Let me say that again. Peter now responds with a better understanding of who Jesus is, what he came to do, and what it means to love, trust, and follow him. even if this means death. And if you go and read Matthew 26, verse 35, you'll see that that is what it meant for Peter. I really hope that as you open up the Bible on Sunday morning with your children, that you will have a wonderful time around this passage, that you'll be encouraged, and that you'll be filled with great hope as you study together what Jesus can do in our lives, how he restores us, and the hope that he gives us. I really hope and pray that as you prepare to teach your children on Sunday, that you will allow the Lord to work in your heart first, and then on Sunday your children too will be filled with the Spirit of God, that their eyes and their hearts will be opened to understanding these words from John chapter 21. I look forward to seeing you all again next Sunday.